It is time, my friends, to play Minecraft. I think it's Minecraft o'clock, isn't it? We got Bananas in chat from Hero Blender, Curls of Doom, Ender Void Wolf, Chiwi Pepper, Billman 68, Forgil 96, Big Fat Shrimp 32, Lucro 153792664, Duslow 7862345759, and Winnie T Ford 17634. Thank you so much for your support, for your bananas even. That's the one. Bananas. The bananas are very supportive. They really are. What's going on here? What are we doing? It's Hermitcraft, but we're placing blocks. Which we never do on Hermitcraft. Okay, the game. The game. Okay? This game is about making your way through a Minecraft tech tree to reach the opponents on the other side who are also working their way through a Minecraft tech tree. This tech tree involves oak. Then, oh well, you can't see that bit. Melons, bookshelves, planks. Then you get your string and your flint for your bows and your arrows, and you can get feathers further down the line. Etc, etc. Feathers. Now you understand. Salacidon, thank you ever so much for your 4 months of support. Greatly appreciated. Hope you're enjoying the other stream. What's this? Diamonds? Diamonds. If any hermit sees this, they'll have secretive knowledge. Don't tell anyone, peeps. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, Salacidon, thank you for 4 months. Greatly appreciated, my dude. I'm having a fantastic day today. I hope all of y'all are having a good time. Exciting times. Exciting times. So. Oh, what's this? These are the blocks that we have to place in this live stream. We have to place them, my friends, because what was placed over there now needs to be symmetrically placed over here. So now you understand, and now we get to crack on with the grind. And I imagine that today's stream will be full of waffles and pancakes and whipped cream and whatever else you have with your waffles and pancakes. My imagination is very limited. I would have my waffles and pancakes with fruit and yogurt. That's my favourite combo, I think. Crew Stark says Shishwami. That is the name some people refer to me as. So many obsidian, says Maxibon. That is actually an infinitesimal amount of obsidian compared to what I have at my base, because I thought I needed 150 shulker boxes of obsidian. But it turns out I just needed 150 stacks. You know? You were expecting me to do a joke. You were expecting me to do a joke. Weren't you? You were expecting that. I've trained you well. That's right, all the red blocks have to become non-red blocks. This is really quite pointless. The only reason for this at the first stage of the game is just for a little bit of variation. In Sweden, people have jam and cream and mash that together, says Silvervarg. I mean, it all gets mashed up in your stomach, so why not? Why not help your stomach out and do it before it goes in your gob? Golden syrup, says Lex. I used to love golden syrup when I was a kid. Now it's just too rich for me. I'm just like, ah. So what do y'all want to talk about? What's happening in the world? What happened yesterday in the world of Minecraft? Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Things have changed, and people are saying things about the changes. Oh, they're saying things, I tell ya. They're saying things with passion. I mean, my mind's been so scrambled from reading my comments over the last year. Ever since the player chat reporting, everything's just soured, and I get a bit frizzle-frazzled from reading all of that stuff. So, let's see. Let's go over it. What happened yesterday? Like, I'm really trying to, like, jog my memory. Okay, so they introduced on the... Should we report someone for enough? Tango, I'm reporting you! That'll get him banned. No. No. Actually, shall I save it as a draft for later? No. Leave and discard report. Yeah, I've never pressed this button while on Hermitcraft. It's the first time I've ever pressed that button. You know, in and amongst all the negativity that I read, there is reasonable critique here and there. It's just intermingled with, like, outrage. And it's frustrating. I think all I've ever wanted to see, really, is the facilitation of more informed and nuanced discussion around what's going on. There is so much ignorance that we fill in with our opinions and our thoughts on stuff. I'm saying that as someone who would do it themselves. But like when you know certain things about a system like the chat reporting stuff, the amount of like assertion that some people have with very strong opinions, it gets to you. I've been reading comments about like, isn't it terrible how many fake bans there are and how little good the chat reporting system has done, you know? But like Mojang doesn't release any information about this. Think about it from a legal perspective. Think about it from an internal perspective. It's probably not in their best interest to tell you how much harm takes place to the average player in this game. It's not going to be great if they're like, you know, because there's going to be numbers attached to this stuff. It's going to be like, you know, thousands of reports maybe come in a day. That could just paint a stain on the game. Like, what? You have all of this hate in your game? All these people saying horrible stuff and bullying or whatever it is. Like, the system that they're creating in order to, I guess, bring the standards of the player base and the community as probably Microsoft are dictating it. Like, in order to bring those standards up, they have to come up from somewhere, and they probably don't want to tell you what the state of the game is. So these comments are asserting, you know, that there's all these fake bans and that the banning system isn't doing anything. You don't know. You don't have any numbers to go by. Mojang don't release it. It's so speculative. And there's this sourness building up in the community, and it just bleeds out into every little thing that they do at the moment. And I'm getting tired of just being on the front line of it. I think I've found a way to do my videos now where those comments are less directed at me. Like, I found the way to present it, I think, that works. Because in the past I had more of a, and here's what I think about it approach. And I've distanced myself from doing that because, do you know what? I think at some level I don't particularly like all of this stuff, but I understand why it's happening and how from other people's perspectives it's good, especially if you're like a parent of a child. You know, nasty things do happen in online environments, and so for certain demographics this stuff is good, for others maybe not so much. Another big thing that winds me up about it is that a lot of it becomes very sort of preachy about big concepts like freedom of speech and all this sort of stuff. Yet, most likely, we all participate in other platforms, other games, other situations, where the sort of civility, like, you know, going out in public, that you can have in those other places, is in line with some of the things that are trying to be enforced here, yet you're not outraged about it when it's different somewhere else. It's the fact that the change is taking place. If Minecraft always had this from day dot, you'd come along for the Minecraft experience and then you'd just sort of be accepting the various things around it. Because the ULA changes, it puts people in this position of like confronting that, where elsewhere you will probably, you know, already be on platforms that enforce similar behaviors of similar standards of behavior. And like I said, going out in public is one of them, you know? You go out there and you do some of the things that you might do in an online environment, you'll get yourself into trouble with other people, possibly with the law. These things are like everywhere, and just something about being able to spout whatever nonsense comes into your head online drives me mad. I'm venting. Just focus on informing and not putting your opinion in it, at least for the snapshot videos. Otherwise, you're way too easy to target. That's how I felt, and that's what I've been doing, Curls. Does the game that X is building have a name yet? It doesn't, really. It doesn't. It's just the game, I guess. Jordant. I was going to call you Jordan TNT. I'm like adding in letters. Jordant848. Thank you ever so much for your Prime. Greatly appreciated, my dude. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for supporting. And I hope you have a good time. Peeps, put your opinions, put your questions in this whole chat reporting stuff in the chat. Let's turn it into a discussion, not just a one-way thing from me. I'm just trying to vent off the things that frustrate me when I see like sort of false assertions. There's been good comments as well that are negative. You know, people are seeing flaws in the idea of banning skins, which is interesting because if you ban a skin, fair enough, right? But then you can always just change a pixel on a skin by a small amount and then re-upload and offend again, essentially. The problem there is that's going to lead you to perhaps doing some sort of hashing of skins, and then potentially skins that aren't malicious can be banned through someone making them malicious, right? By their similarity. So there's concerns as to how they've implemented this system, and I think there could be some more transparency there. But if they overindulge in the amount of information they give us, there'll just be more questions and speculation and opinion being had. Sometimes it's good just to like lead and not really get opinion too much. Also, might not be worth to read the comments after controversial snapshots right away, but wait a couple more days until you're more removed from the video itself. I don't think it's going to matter when I read it or not, because whenever I read my comments, I get comments on old videos. It's still sore when you read something like that. Is there going to be a minigame district this season, says Chris Locks. There already is a minigame district. Anyway, peeps, there's 250 here watching. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit the follow button if you've not done so before. And I'm serious, like, I would love to have some discussion. I had so many comments yesterday, it's like... I know this is a better place to go back and forth. That's been an experience for me with this kind of stuff. So it's just a symbolic system, like, but hey, we have this measure in place to prevent bullying, inappropriate behavior, etc., says Nicholas V. No, I don't think it's symbolic. I think it's actually there to do that. I think it's better to put yourself in the shoes of people who will be vulnerable to bullying, harassment, which is often, you know, young people who are emotionally immature. You know, if Hacker 101 logs into Hermitcraft and starts typing, "Xisuma, you suck," you know, I'm really not going to be bothered by their opinion. Strangely, you know, I'm bothered by opinions about chat reporting more than someone saying I suck or whatever. Seems like it's too ripe for abuse. Okay, yeah, so this is another thing, like, I feel like some of these opinions are a bit fear-driven. Like, you can come in here, type stuff up. Yes, a person can go in with malicious intent into this system and try to abuse it from that angle, right? This is where I start to look at things in terms of scales and weighing up the two sides. Like, how many people do actually want to do that, spend their time that way? You'll find it's not the average player, right? It's a few... In fact, it's probably in similar proportion to the amount of people that get banned legitimately because, you know, their behavior is, you know, not really acceptable or whatever, and it gets them into trouble. They just might be the same sort of people that would try and abuse the system, but average people will probably not want to abuse the system, right? So I think if you look at it in terms of proportion like that, this thing is going to help people too. And this is the measurement we don't have, that we assert, is this idea of, like, is it really helping or not? We don't have that information. We don't have statistics. Mojang are not going to tell you about a child, you know, being groomed or abused online and how they dealt with it. Like, that is very sensitive stuff. Just think about how easily that sort of stuff can be spun in a different direction from a PR perspective, right? Like, as soon as you release information about how you're protecting players, you're also revealing information about how they're being abused. So then that allows someone to run away with a story of, you won't believe how much abuse there's going on in Minecraft, right? But like, is that in proportion to every single instance that takes place online? You know, because it's easy to write something dramatic like that, and then it's easy for people to read it and feel like, oh my god, that's terrible. What's wrong with Mojang and Minecraft? It's much harder to go and do that legwork of figuring out, well, what's the average? What's the normal at the moment for online games, and figuring out how much abuse does occur in these spaces, right? Because then you might come back and find out, oh, look at this, it turns out Minecraft's actually pretty low compared to some other places, or it might be the opposite. It might be like, oh wow, this platform's got a problem. And Mojang don't want to invite any of that in at all. Like, why would you? Let's read some more. I don't think the average player wants to spend their time abusing the system, but what about as a reaction? So-and-so beat me in PvP, and I'm mad, and I'm going to report them and lie. Yeah, some people will be emotionally immature and do things like that, right? It's always a possibility. You got to remember that it doesn't mean you master the system and manipulate it. It means you attempt to. So then there's a further barrier, if you can imagine it, of like, how many of those are actually going to get past the moderation team? They've tried to build this thing in a way where they get context, they get additional information, and are able to you know, make some sort of judgment. The people behind the system have been trained, right, to deal with this stuff too. Is another statement that Mojang have made. Foxfire says it would be good if servers could somehow identify the expected level of behavior on the server. What's okay on one server may be inappropriate on another, and vice versa. Yeah, that's, you know, there's an element there of change that I tend to agree with. Is that, I mean, it's not quite what you were saying, but it brings it to mind that this does assert standards over communities that had control over their own standards, which was how it started, and again, it's changed, where it existed in another game where the control wasn't in people's hands. People are not upset about it or outraged, but like, when the change happens, that's what triggers the, you know, the reaction. Lex, thank you for the nice message. Revealing safety precaution also makes it easier to get around them. If you know how the algorithm works, it's easier to figure out to outsmart it. Except we're not talking about an algorithm, we're talking about a team of trained moderators. Your trust in the moderation system is much higher than mine, Xisuma, and I think the key issue for me is I can never trust a system that can be changed at Microsoft's whim. Yeah, I wouldn't call what I have trust in it. I just see it as a matter of compromises, of gives and takes, which exist all around us in society. There's things we can't do and we can do, and things that we benefit from because of those variables, and that's how I see this. You know, they're implementing a system to try and bring the standards of the game up for its player base, and quite largely probably motivated by the concern of you know, parents who will be leaving kids unattended in the game, and they can be exposed to, you know, all sorts of drama or bad behavior through chat and through the online play. And like, the thing is though about it being changed on a whim is that most games, most things, like, they do exist in a state of change or possible change. Like, laws change, right, in our society, and other games have EULAs and they make updates and changes to them. It's just the sort of the environment around it that can make it feel different. And obviously the content of those changes creates a different reaction each time to it. I just feel like with some of these things, it could literally just be a case of like poor timing, or if things were handled differently, the perspective would be so much different, because I don't think people go into the weeds of it, or really can. You can't get into the weeds of how exactly this changes things, because like I said earlier, those numbers are just not public, right? So our opinions are largely made in the dark. By the way, this next bit is like super annoying because, well, you'll see it like every now and then there's a bookshelf and they share the same texture. So you have to come back and do that. Which ain't so bad. Gun 301, 63 months. Amazing, almost a stack. Reporting probably won't affect 99% of players, but it would be better if instead of banning skins, they had a system to mark certain skins as adult only, and then you could specify if your server is child friendly. That does sound like a good way of doing things, actually. Maybe less ban, more information, more opportunity for communities to decide what to do with that, i.e., let's say they didn't ban players, but they graded them up. You know, like you've got like a system that says this person's had 6 incidents, 2 were severe, and like, you know, different communities can take that information and make decisions based on it. That's a really cool way of looking at it. I don't think that's something Mojang would go for. But what it would then do is it would take people's opinions about this stuff, and it would sort of offload it onto the communities and say, well, now you've got that information, you can make your decision, and then people can debate about it, you know? That's a really good one, I like that. Worth noting that MS likely has legal obligations to maintain their moderator teams in some countries, looking at Europe there, since the US is rubbish on that sort of thing, so they probably can't actually just fire the moderators. Yeah, I had a suspicion when this thing first came around that they were sort of reacting to some changes in EU law and legislation, right? Like it's a bunch of legal stuff going on, and now they might have to enforce better safety standards for players online. And then, you know, I don't think they can particularly say that's their reason for doing it, if it is. And I don't know what it would look like if they did, but again, it's just another part of the conversation that just seems like lost when I read my comments. Just see too much like anger and emotion and not a lot of like consideration to the possible ignorances that we all have to the situation. As long as there is easy and fair appeals process in case when people are being falsely reported as a form of pseudo-swatting, then I'm okay with it. My concern is that people may abuse the reporting system and affected folks may not have any recourse. I think in this sort of system, you are always going to have winners and losers, right? And no matter how much back and forth procedure you put in, there's always going to be that one case that, you know, the innocent guy got caught or whatever. Yeah, sorry, got punished. Which is, again, the same as what we have in society. We put up with our legal system, yet we acknowledge its flaws, and some people work very hard to correct all of those flaws and change law, but we kind of understand that on occasion, you know, innocent people do get punished. Perfection is a very difficult thing to achieve. And I just feel like we are in the dark on really knowing how effective this stuff is. So we can speculate all we like, but we're sort of not really going to know because Mojang are not going to open the lid and let everyone see how it all works. Imagine if they like opened every single case and just said, you can look at it all, right? Like, that would satisfy no one. Everyone would be invited to have opinions, and guess what? We never all agree, right? We never all agree. It would be crazy. So what is better, an innocent person being banned or a bannable person not being banned? Says Jordan. I feel like you're weighing up the question by looking at a single incident. What I would propose to you is that it's about having, let's say, 99% of the time, things go well and we agree with the outcome, and 1% of the time it's either someone who should have been banned getting away with it, or someone who shouldn't have been getting banned, right? Now you can change the slider on that however you want. You can say it's 90 to 10, it's 50-50, do whatever you like with it. But the idea is that that's how society works. Nothing's perfect. There is always winners and losers. And of course we want to minimize the unfair situations and maximize the good outcomes. But that's essentially what this system will have. It can't be perfect. It will have problems. I just feel like people tend to fixate on a potential problem and make it the whole issue and overlook the benefit that can come from protecting players online more, right? I mean, maybe like as an individual with an opinion on this, you might become more sensitive to the protection aspect if you've experienced it yourself, or you know someone who's been harassed online, or you have some idea of what that can be like. Because I've seen like a lot of harassment over the years. Like, I was part of the generation that grew up online, not totally, like, but like finding it in your teens. The internet was there for me, like in the house when I was about 13, and since then I've just always been someone who's online a lot, right? And I've just seen a ton of crazy stuff online, right? And I just know that bad stuff can happen. And what I don't know is how often it happens in Minecraft. I really don't. I've never done that research. I don't know what the experiences are like beyond my little bubble of playing on Hermitcraft. But my gut instinct is that this is something that looks ugly and it will probably do more good than harm. Oh, dang, that's some good decaf. Holes, welcome to the stream. Good to have you with us. Penelope Sky says there's someone that plays on the Patreon server, as of right now, and one minigame server. I feel like some of these changes probably won't affect me. Also, will these banned players be banned from publicly playing Minecraft, or will they be banned from multiplayer? Will it be an IP ban? They are, I believe you get banned from playing multiplayer. Excuse me, on Java Edition. With skins and names, they talked about it in a little bit of a different light, but I noticed that they contradicted themselves in the statement, sort of saying that you can be banned from multiplayer, and then somewhere else saying that you wouldn't, which I thought was a smarter way to go about skins and names, because they're a lot more indirect. You know, if you have an offensive... I don't know. Maybe I haven't thought about this. This is literally popping into my head. So now I kind of think, actually, maybe I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but like, it kind of just, my natural reaction that it felt good that they could enforce the change of the offense. So if the offense is, you know, you got a nasty username or you have a nasty skin on, that they could stop you from participating until you changed that. That to me felt like quite a smart way to go about it. Just instinctively, but maybe I haven't really thought that over too much. Why don't you retexture a helmet rather than a pumpkin? I don't know. Retexture a helmet rather than a pumpkin. Are you referring to custom stuff that gets retextured via the pumpkin model? The more context you provide with your questions, the better, peeps. Less of me sitting here figuring out what on earth we're talking about. Especially when we're not talking about that. Like Impulse's beard, says Andrew Willis. Yeah, okay. The reason being that you can't put custom models on these items, right? They are just not accessible. Whereas a pumpkin, for some reason, is. I have no idea why. No idea why, but the carved pumpkin is. It might just be one of those things that the developers put in. They're like, you know, we can't make a big and drastic change, but I'll sneak a little something in over here on the carved pumpkin. Maybe that was the origin story of it. Good evening, everyone. How's the waffling, says Base Process. feels good. It feels like I'm getting stuff off my chest. Wait, didn't you remodel a helmet to give you the bone mage stuff? Was that a pumpkin too? Yep, that was a pumpkin. Because I can't remodel a helmet. Why the bookshelves, says Sidge. Great question. Books can be enchanted, and books help you make an enchanting table. Oh, we got some messages highlighted by the mods. Timing and how it is communicated can do such a difference in how people react to change. Definitely, and Mojang have really come out on the wrong ends of the recent ones. Errors are made in the healthcare system too. People are misdiagnosed or don't receive correct diagnosis. That doesn't mean the healthcare system shouldn't exist. The system should be improved with time to avoid errors. But any system that contains human beings will never be without fault. Brilliant. Well put. That's one of the things that I feel about a lot of society in general. It's like, I'm not really a fan of like revolution and like a radical change. I'm more of a fan of like admitting that whatever system we have, there will always be chaos. There will always be problems at some level, and then there will be good things that come of those systems too. But I think you take where you are and you work to improve. You know, you think in terms of solutions. Oh wait, that didn't place a blank. That placed a melon. That will be my dodgy mouse wheel again. Foxfire says 99 is probably not a good metric. False negatives and false positives weigh differently. If you miss, that is true. Yes, if you miss 1 of 100 that should be banned, fine. But if you ban 100,000 of 10 million that shouldn't, that's a huge problem. Yeah, I agree with you there. Missing bans is okay, but the false bans, the people that get dubbed when they've done nothing wrong, that feels worse, doesn't it? Like, you'll tolerate someone getting away with bad behaviour compared to someone being wronged who's innocent. I wonder in what situations that might be flipped, where you feel the other way around. Off the top of my head, it just seems like, nah, it'd always be that way around, right? That's very curious. If anyone's got a good idea, like an example maybe of when that is flipped, it is more preferable, I would be really curious to know what that is. Because it just inherently seems totally wrong. Innocent until proven guilty. Yep, that's what we say, right? The problem with all these kids' safety procedures is that they put too much emphasis on punishing the adults rather than restricting the kids. If a bar said they wanted to increase sales by making themselves kid-friendly, and to this end they say no one could order alcohol in the bar anymore, that'd be a terrible idea. Yeah, that's a problem of demographics, right? So you're saying that these measures are more aimed at younger people, and you're right, they are, because like for someone, I don't know, for someone like myself, I don't think I'm ever gonna file a report, purely because I'm just like mature enough to deal with situations in a different way. But I think you gotta respect that this game is probably the majority of which played by kids, and you just happen to be in a subsection of it that is more appealing to adults. I mean, it's such a broadly popular game that the adult player base will be huge, right? Might be one of the largest adult player base games there is. I don't know, but its reach is certainly that big. But then, you know, the amount of kids on it is always going to outweigh the amount of adults. About 99 to 1%. One of which was not banned, can offend 100,000 other players, so it's kind of flipped already. If you offend 100,000 other players as an individual, like, you're rolling the dice and probably going to get caught at some point. It's flipped with mental diagnosis. You'd rather get a false positive than someone with a deadly disease going undetected. It's balance where you can decide which is worse for the situation and balance accordingly. I feel like, although that's a good example, I feel like that doesn't work because disease isn't an action that a person takes, right? No one's like innocent or guilty when it comes to disease, because like it's just something that yeah, no one's gonna choose to get a disease, right? Like it's against your own self-interest. So it feels like the outcome of like the false positive thing doesn't quite weigh up, because you know I was thinking of it in terms of someone's like choice, someone's action, I guess. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't understood you. Sally Ann 123, thank you so much for 93 months. Approaching the 100 club. Who will be next to be locked up in Evil X's dungeon? I do wonder. Thank you so much for the continued support over the years. I'm just here to mine and craft. I don't need chat or fancy skins, says Sharky. Good for you. In a quarantine for plague like the Black Death, I'd rather 100k of 10 million quarantine without good reason rather than 1 out of 10 who should quarantine. Again, I'm struggling to flip it in my head when it comes to something in like that isn't chosen, like a plague or a disease, right? I'll think on that again at some point. Sometimes when you're waffling and streaming, it's a little difficult to focus. Like a lot of the stuff that I say when I waffle, it's like stuff that I've really thought over a lot before. Which is why I think it then becomes like just easy to waffle on it, because it's not just stream of consciousness. It's like I've mulled over these ideas, you know, especially with the chat stuff, because I've been reading so much opinions on it. Some of which I noticed no one in the chat is really bringing up, which is like the 1984 aspect of it. I really feel like that term has become just so overused. I'm not even sure what it means. I haven't read. Have I read the book? I think I read Animal Farm. But I've learned a lot about what 1984 is about. I don't play Minecraft, public Minecraft often. I usually play my closest friend only. Says Lex. You should have no worries then with this kind of stuff. With 1984, one of the big takeaways about it for me was the terminology of doublespeak. I think I might have actually like misinterpreted what was intended by that, but it's the idea to hold like two, let's say, beliefs or ideas in your mind that are actually in contrast with one another, and I think it speaks more to like a political propagandist, identitarian type mindset. Whereas what it illuminated for me, once I was aware of that, and then I would think about my own thoughts and beliefs, is I noticed that I can indeed have opinions on stuff that do contradict each other, but because they're sort of separated by some superficial level, you like don't realize it until like you cross those things over, because like one might be related to something completely unrelated, but then you realize the principles don't kind of match up. And this is all just like what being a human is about, right? This real weird fuzzy emotional experience. Can someone tell me what he's building with those blocks, says Warp. I am building a cube of planks, bookshelves, and melon for the game. The wonderful, beautiful game that we're going to play. Host and Nerd, thank you ever so much for 18 months. That's 2 Twitch babies. Appreciate your support, my dude. Hope you're doing well. And thank you for subscribing and continuing to support me. It's appreciated. The 1984 thing is a meme. It's a joke about total control of some higher power, and I assure you, at least 95% of the people who say literally 1984 say so just to make fun of people who actually complain about it. I really struggle with that, because when I read my comments, I just sort of take what's being said at face value. I don't know how to determine if someone's being sarcastic or making a joke. It was just today in the Hermitcraft Discord that there was a joke that I just totally didn't understand, and often, I mean, I can be pretty bad with it IRL too. Sometimes stuff just like that flies over my head, like I miss the subtleties of human expression or whatever. But like when I read my comments and I see it, it really does feel like someone's angry and calling it 1984. Like they say that. They say like literally 1984. Maybe if you're into meme culture and you suspect who's commenting it is into meme culture, then you see it differently. But for me, it just kind of looks like people are thinking that this is like straight up censorship and stuff. And what I will say is it probably doesn't help the conversation much if it's a joke. Because, I don't know, it feels like it ties into the complaints that people have. Oh, do I have enough bookshelves for this? I think it's the next one where I run out. Yeah, cobwebs. I'm not going to have enough cobwebs, so we're going to have to go get some of those in a bit. This is the first I've heard of this 1984, says Holes. If you look it up, it's a book written by George Orwell. And a lot of people say it's a really great read. I've sort of just learned about it through... There's a movie made on it, which I watched. And then there's been plenty of documentaries or like podcasts or thought pieces about it. So I've sort of learned about it like through the secondary rather than the primary. I really liked the book, says Sidge. Awesome. Yeah, I wonder if... you know, I haven't listened to an audiobook in a while. I listened to a couple of novels a while back and really actually enjoyed that, but then just couldn't like figure out where I wanted to go from there. Like, what do I want to listen to next? And then I tried this book about Vladimir Lenin, and it was kind of like interesting for a while, but then it sort of lost me as it got like really deep into a lot of the political stuff. Because I'm really interested in periods in history like that, like the Russian Revolution. It fascinates me. But I don't know, it just didn't hold me. And I'm the sort of person that when I like pick an audiobook, I really want to like commit and like go all the way with it and, you know, hear it from start to end. It feels bad to drop stuff, but I've learned like if you're not getting along with stuff, like time is precious. You know, just if it's not working, just move on. Which is probably what I'll do with that Lenin book, and then I'll try something else at some point. But I hadn't known what. But maybe 1984 might be a good listen. Why an audiobook and not a real book? I get headaches when I read, and it's just not very convenient because it's... I don't want to knock reading. I think if you're into it, it's great. Like sitting down, focusing, and having a good read, but it just doesn't work for me. I managed to go through a period like over 10 years ago of like reading books regularly. I was reading novels, but then like the headaches and stuff just started to get a bit too much and I fell out of the pattern. So now audiobooks are just sort of like a great on-the-go way of doing stuff. Like you can go for a walk or you can do housework. I'm very mindful of like where my attention goes though. Like if I notice I drift, I rewind and stay like locked in as best I can. Because I'm kind of aware that, you know, you can kind of drift even when you're listening. Your attention can go elsewhere. Do you get a headache when you code? When I code, man! When I code, dang! I code so little I wouldn't know. I have no problem with reading text on a computer screen, as long as it's in dark mode. It's the white background with black text that's probably doing the headaches. So like that way around, I'm not sure if it's true with books, but it is with computer screens that they force your eyes to strain. Now you might be thinking, mine don't, right? But like this isn't like you're going to feel your eyes straining. This is just like physiologically what they are doing. They are being strained when they focus out the black text on white background compared to the other way around. And when I switched, boy did I notice a difference. Like back in the days of like, it must have been around like Hermitcraft season 2 that I became like aware of this and started to make some behavioral changes and whatnot. But like I remember at the end of a day grinding out some Minecraft episode, my eyes were just like shot. I just couldn't look at the screen anymore. And then I learned about like dark mode and other things. Like I used to do eye yoga on a regular basis. I don't even need that anymore because all my devices are on dark mode. But you know, the science that was emerging was saying like these these screens that we put in front of us everywhere, these white screens with black text, they're straining our eyes and weakening them. And when I sort of read and understood that, I was like, well, I'll try and do something different then. And lo and behold, like, it really started to make a difference, like, straight away. And the more and more I was able to switch everything into dark modes, so much better. So much better. I feel like X is just dyslexic but doesn't know it yet. I have it as it's a dyslexic trait. To what are we referring? The reading thing? I mean, I'm probably dyslexic. I got dyspraxia. I could have chosen to do tests and get diagnosed for stuff when I was at school. I've always been a bit of like an oddball for certain things, right? But those diagnoses, like, they just put a label on you. I just want to be X, you know? Like, not X and, oh, did you know this or did you know that? You know what I mean? Like, dyspraxia, because it's physical, I feel like it's like saying, I don't know, you got like a limp from an injury, or you know, you were born with some sort of like physical defect or something. It feels a little less personal when it's like physical, but when it's like about you and your intelligence or whatever, it just, I don't know. Where the heck are my rockets? Actually, yes, I left this out over here. I had a box of rockets and I've just gone and left them somewhere. I kind of don't know where off the top of my head. Like, where would they be? I have a hunch, but I don't really want to go on a wild goose chase. So we'll nip back to the base with the few rockets that we got left. Probably good timing for that. Get some more rockets, then go get some cobwebs, I reckon. Yes, but for people that are searching desperately for a reason why they feel the way they do, it can also be comforting and also give them confirmation. Validation. Yeah, for some people it would. For me, it doesn't. I don't feel like I want that. Like, there was a point where I could have got tested for something in my life, and I chose not to because I felt like I would give myself some sort of crutch. And, like, that's, like, the opposite of that is, like, getting tested and, you know, having something, I guess, asserted or comfort you. Like, in my head, it's just the other way around. It's like, I don't want that label or whatever. No rockets here. Let's go down below. Iskal was online. For a while, I think. I don't know. I didn't see him log in. I was waffling. Oh, and peeps, don't go like blasting on Twitter that you saw Iskal online and when's the next episode and all that sort of stuff, right? I noticed that a lot of people put pressure on the hermits at times, and I understand that that's your passion and that you can't wait to see your favourite hermit come back on and stuff, but like, you gotta let people have some breathing room sometimes, you know? Like, playing a game for this many years is not as straightforward as you might think. Like, creativity is a thing. So you'd rather just be ignorant about it and push through and never know, says Holes. I mean, I know, like, for myself, on some level, I just don't like the labels of those sorts of things. To me, like, I could easily give myself an excuse, right? Like, it allows me to go, oh, because of that, rather than, you know, try and find a solution or something. That's kind of how I think about it in my head. Is I feel like that information wouldn't help me, I guess. And it's not even really a mystery to me, but yeah, I don't want to give myself like, oh wait, is that all coal? I thought it was obsidian. Anyway, why am I trying to sort stuff? I don't need to sort anything. just see items and immediately start sorting them. That's how my brain works. Just gotta do the thing, man. Right, we need to go find some stuff. Right, so when we did this last time, we probably brought with us a lot of torches. Maybe a bucket of water on the hotbar is often a good idea. Should be a bucket or something in here. bucket. I haven't got a bucket. What? Let's go get one. No. Let's take an empty bucket and just grab it. Oh, there's a bucket. There was a... Goodness me, I need to pay more attention. It allows you to accommodate yourself. Yes, well understandable. X each to their own. Penelope says, I mean, if you have dyspraxia, you're more likely to have dyslexia or something like that, but you don't need to put a label on it if you can deal with it your own way. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if it was a hindrance in a way where I felt like I needed to get some sort of outside help, but I don't feel that way about it. I just feel like I know there's things about me that are odd. If you know me or whatever, like what's the word? Oh, there's this beautiful word for it. And every time I try and remember it, it escapes me. But it's like a word like particulars, but it's about idiosyncrasies. There, it came to me. Everyone has their own little idiosyncrasies, right? Things that you do that are sort of quirky and different to someone else or whatever, or to the norm. Like, and I think we all have them on some level. And I totally forgot where I was going with this, but basically, like, I just want all of that really just to be me and not to be some label, I guess. And again, if it were labeled, I feel like it might be a crutch. Like I'd rather just try and like deal with stuff and better myself as opposed to have an excuse, I guess. Beautiful. That was a good choice to come over here then. I could have brought some blocks with me to make navigating a little easier. By the way, I was playing some Vault Hunters today, just working on the base. I feel like that's been really refreshing for me, Vault Hunters. It's made me excited about playing Minecraft in general. Like, my excitement has come back somewhat. Because playing it sometimes turns into a bit of a routine, right? And also, seeing Lynxie's world yesterday, like... Dang, what a cool world. It really gives you that sense of, like, someone who plays in there every day, you know, and loves it. And one of the things I love about single-player worlds is just... Well, I guess it's because you know it's a single-player world. It has a bit of a different charm, the way you look at everything. It's maybe the one thing I would air quotes regret is, you know, playing all of this Hermitcraft. I've never had a single-player world. I had one before I joined Hermitcraft, and I never maintained it or like had a long-term plan for it. When I started, okay, we're gonna go on a major waffle here, and I think like there's gonna be some cool messages that I'm missing out on. Just having a look at chat. Yeah, so it's like when I started making my own series, I had this idea in my head of like how American TV shows tend to run really long series, and here in Britain we used to do like TV shows and they would have 6 episodes a season. The BBC would like really drill in this idea of quality over quantity. So for my first season there was going to be like 6 episodes, and I think on some level I'd sort of planned out what they were going to be. You know, like I was creating this little Xisuma's world time capsule or something. Like that was the mentality. And so my first season was just 6 episodes long. Then I got to the end of that and it was like, well, I want to keep going, and season 2 just didn't have a limit on it. And towards the end I joined Hermitcraft. And every now and then I kind of just think, man, what if I'd held on to that world and just continued to play in it over the years? Because there's something really kind of awesome and special about having a long-term world. Like, you know, as a player, you'll get like attached to it. And then you can just do so many awesome projects. And Lynxie just had like some amazing projects. Like the whole thing he was doing with the more mob heads and sounds, I totally have to like pinch that next season. I've been like experimenting with some ideas and things for the next season and whatnot. And I think I would love to make like a ride like you saw in that world, like something that helps you tour Hermitcraft, right? Like a rail that goes between all bases and really connects. Actually, that sounds awesome saying it out loud. Like, you could do it this season, but if you said at the beginning of a season to the other hermits, you're like, look, rail line goes between every single base. Accommodate me in this project. Then at the end of the season, you have this beautiful ride that showcases what everyone can do on the server. I think that's a cool idea. Like EFO and B-dubs as well, says Jim Baggins. Yeah, they have long-term single-player worlds, and, you know, as the years go up, they get populated with just so much stuff. And it's weird because obviously a Hermitcraft world has a whole bunch of stuff in it, but like it's something about how it's just like populated by one person that gives it something a little different, I guess. Okay, let's put that over here. Like the Season 6 Elytra course. That was awesome. Yeah, that was a really cool thing. Season 6 Ren did that, right? Says Bellanati. Yeah, Season 6 Ren built the Hermitcraft rail network, but that was a transport infrastructure, right? This project that I'm thinking is more about a ride that will showcase what everyone can do. Also, in Season 2, I did a rail line thing. There's stuff that happened in like Season 2 and 1 of Hermitcraft, I think, that kind of got forgotten about. Like, when we did shopping districts later on in Season 4, and we did storylines later on and stuff, like, those things had actually been done in like the first seasons of Hermitcraft. In Season 2, we had a shopping district, we had a rail network and stuff, but it was just a different time, and I don't know, like the audience has reacted to certain things that we've done in different ways, right? And back then it was maybe just seen a little different as it is now. People love the shops now. Potato Bean says, what is Xisuma constructing? I'm building a mine shaft that doesn't have cobwebs right now. That is exactly what I'm building. A mine shaft that looks like it was naturally generated, but then someone came through and ripped out all the cobwebs. That is my plan of action, my project right now. And, you know, I'm going to make it look like they only removed a stack. Because, you know, why not? Stack's good enough, isn't it? IX in chat, says Matt Leguana. Welcome to the stream, my dude. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Didn't y'all have a railway system in the previous season? I guess it wasn't as intricate as you described as here. In Season 8, we didn't have a rail network. Someone, I think, made a rail ride, though. Oh, do you know what I found? I found an old test world. In fact, basically, I was backing up my... I was doing a backup, and I was doing it on one of my off-site, like physical off-sites, and I hadn't done it in a while, and I just sort of noticed there's this like old Minecraft folder in this backup. It's like labeled as old backup. And I went in and I was like, oh my god, this is like a backup from 2016 that, or it's a little bit later than that, but basically it had worlds ranging from like 2016 to 18 that I just hadn't actually like properly backed up. I'm a bit of a disposer. Like when I'm done with a world, I just delete it. Whereas I've changed my tact now. I tend to back up stuff when I'm finished with it, just in case it ever becomes useful again. So I found this world, and it's just like, it's littered with mobs and redstone, and I'm like, I can't quite remember what happened here, but somehow I made like an animal bomb, and the testing world just became horrendous because there was just stuff everywhere. But in it, I found beast mode. I found like the testing setup for that and whatnot. And the skull, I don't remember if I built it myself or not. I think... I wouldn't be surprised if I did. I think, like, if I force myself to knuckle down and try and do something like that, then I can. But, like, it's the motivation. And back then I had the motivation. But I don't know if I actually built it myself or not. But the fact that it was all sitting around in my own single-player world... And now that I think about it, I know that that world was actually never a multiplayer world. So, I think I did build it. The beast mode skulls look really cool. And I was like, I could sort of bring this back into a Minecraft world. These skulls look awesome. So that's something I might do. If I have a reason to build something like, you know, mean looking, let's say. Right, let's see. Is there actually any more mine shaft here? Yeah, there is. Okay. Got more cobwebs. Maybe a Herobrine built it, or Evil X in your case. No, the more I think about it, I think I did make it. I just don't have much of a memory of doing that. But it makes sense because I pretty much made beast mode like in a couple of days. And it was before I was like, I had a server team, and it's like literally in a single player world. So like, it doesn't, I don't know how anyone else could have made that for me at that time. So it probably is my own creation. But like, I've just never thought, oh, I can do that. You know, that's always one of those things that I tell myself I'm no good at. So I've probably forgotten that like, if I put my mind to it, I can get something like that done. If you want to know what I'm talking about, if you want to see it, if you go look up beast mode, Xisuma. Hang on, beast mode is like a total meme these days, isn't it? Right? Back then, I don't know what it was. There was like, we had an entrance to this thing, and I totally... Okay, so I'm over that side. So somewhere back there... Oh, I don't know. Oh, wow. I mean, I've literally been turned around. That will make a lot of sense of it. I've been totally turned around. We probably need a few more cobwebs too, so... yeah, Beast Mode is a game that I made. So Bed Wars, or Rush, was this little game that I made. And then the idea... I think Beast... If I'm not mistaken, I think Beast Mode was released before it. That was like a thing I went back and looked up, and I was like, really? I thought it was the other way around. But it was probably because... we just used to play games and prototype ideas. In fact, the game that I'm making now happened around the same time. I would just be prototyping ideas and playing with friends. And Beast Mode was Rush, but indoors with 4 teams. Because we always used to just like group up and play games together. And then it was like, well, why don't we make a 4-player mode one, right? And Beast Mode was that. And it was all indoors. And there were 4 different teams. And so I put the teams in skulls, and if you look up the thumbnail, you'll see that on the thumbnail is this, you know, demonic-looking skull that I must have created. I have a 7-year-old single-player world. If I ever delete this by accident, I'm going to quit the game, I think, says it's Danny. Make backups. You should treat your data like it's going to fail at some point, and you should also, like, you know, treat your security and your hygiene online as if someone's going to compromise it. Like, don't take risks with this stuff because it happens. I learned because I lost my music archive when I was young, and it like devastated me. And fortunately, one thing I was able to do was with its like the computer's dying breath. Actually, it was just a hard drive, but I was able to like create a printout, like using MS-DOS. I was able to get it to print out all of the document, oh sorry, like a list of every file and file name and folder on that hard drive. Even though it was failing and I couldn't get the actual files off, I could get the readout. And so I have this list, and then over the years I was able to like restore my collection. But there is still some stuff on there that is unfortunately completely irretrievable. For example, the name of my channel is xisumavoid because Xisuma was taken and Void was part of the name of a band I was listening to at the time called Void Through Materialism, the guitarist of which had sent me some of their own like personal demos, and I was so stoked and I loved listening to them, and I organized them into folders and created little album artworks for them and stuff, like unofficial. Yeah, and those were some of the files that I lost, and I was like torn by it. I was like, oh man, I lost this stuff forever. And so I've still got that file to this day, because ever since I've always made sure my data is backed up, right? And so it just sits there on my drive. Every now and then, like maybe later today after talking about this, I open it up and I look at those lost MP3s. I think, dang, I want to hear those songs again, you know? But they're gone forever. Odd little story. Anyway, that, you know, that just told me, oh, I need to like back up my data, and ever since I have done. And it's totally worth doing. Gives you peace of mind. In case something ever happens. My SD broke a few years back. It was a pain in quite some money to get the most important data back, says Forgil. Yeah, there are ways. That's another thing to mention. Like, when a hard drive fails, there are ways to get information off of it. If you accidentally delete a file, you know, it's in the recycling bin. If the recycling bin's been emptied, that file might not have been overwritten just yet, and you can retrieve it by, like, reading the raw data on the disk. I've had to do that before as well. Yeah. I've always just been a little bit, like, I think sort of tech-minded, and having the intuition to search for answers with computer stuff. So when these things happen, it's like, my brain's more like, is there a solution here? And then I found a few over the years. Hey X, do you use a UPS surge protector or a standard general one? I brought one, just curious. I have 2 surge protectors. Sorry, not just surge protectors, UPS systems. That isn't an overkill thing. It's more like the computer kept, like, you know, computer and monitors, they take a lot of juice, so it's separated. So one is on a for the computer, and the others are for monitors and stuff, and internet and whatnot. And I think I've never had to use them. I think they've always just sat there doing their thing, and I've never actually had to rely on them, which is interesting. I think maybe once a long time ago, but I just can't remember the details of it. Right, where else is there that I haven't explored of this thing? Oh, that's interesting. That can't be natural. Oh, wait, that's... Oh, maybe someone came here looking for the caves earlier in the season, and then found that. There is some more mineshaftiness over here. If we go... Where are we? We're down there. We go straight ahead. Quite a ways. But then I need to come up a couple of floors and turn to the right or something. So down here and then turn right. Dig through some walls. Ah! Gosh. I can hear them. Sounded like they're over here. That sounds like they're over there. Yeah, we're real close. I have a PC with data I can't access anymore. The cables inside are a mess, and the plugs of the hard drive don't fit into any mother drive. Too old, says Duzlo. You can get adapters, though, for cables and stuff. Like, as long as you know what you're dealing with, you can probably get an adapter to help you... oh, wait. I pressed X to heal. That's a Vault Hunters thing. I've had to connect some components on my computer before, like old ones to new ones, and generally you can find like adapter cables and stuff. Just need to know what it is. Ever had to use a lawyer X? A dump truck was backing up and backed right into our living room. I'm nervous to speak with a lawyer just because I've heard so many things. Wow, no I haven't. I wouldn't... Yeah, I think, you remember, like, sometimes bad news just travels faster than good news, and, I mean, if a lorry's backed up into your house, that kind of sounds like a straightforward thing, right? If you were dealing with something a little more convoluted, and, dealing with greys, then maybe I'd be a little bit more skeptical, but that kind of sounds a bit clear cut to me, like... You know, there's the lorry, there's our house. That lorry shouldn't be in the house. Alright, next course case. Cake course case. Cake course, oh god, words. Right, I'm pretty sure we've got everything we need to do the next section now. And the way out is probably back here, isn't it? Let me through! Gosh, thought I was going to fall down. Caves are incredible, and now I'm on fire. Oh, put me out. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to use the portal. I've got a feeling my orientation here might be a little off. Jim Baggins says, is there no way to communicate with the band to get the demo back? Actually, funny you say that. They, something happened a while back. I can't remember what it was, but they, like, sort of reached out again or something. I can't remember. There might have been a way, but I think I've dropped the ball on that one if there was. Can't remember really what happened. But yeah, it might be possible to get in contact again. You know, I could ask for the demos. I don't know if they'd be happy to give those again, but, well, they might not even have them themselves. You don't know. I just really enjoyed it. I mean, they were demos, right? But it was just, like, fascinating to be listening to this band. Like, their demos had just been shared with me. They were never a big band or anything. Like, it wasn't like, oh, you know, Metallica. I got these exclusive Metallica demos, you know, like, there was some small band. It was just awesome to have that, like, shared with you and be able to hear what they were up to. And I really liked them. I was, like, a genuine fan. Their music was awesome. So, the lapis will probably end up going down below. Don't really need the water bucket anymore and the torches. And I think that means we are good to continue. But, as you know, before I stream, I've usually eaten, and when I eat, I drink a lot of water, and now I need to go to the loo. Some people want an emote for this. They're like, Xisuma, make a loo emote. I'm thinking, a loo emote? What's that going to look like? Ah, Luca, I believe, has reminded me that the band commented on my review video of their record. You're absolutely right. Anyway, I'm gonna go, and I'll be right back. I am back, my friends. Oof, feels good to be standing up. Play that emote. Play that emote. Still got a stiff back. Didn't run. Didn't work out today. Gonna work out tomorrow, I think. My brain just punishes myself if I'm not on it every day. Like, I feel so guilty that I haven't, like, run or worked out today. It's crazy. Like I'm getting better at, like, you know, telling myself you're injured or whatever, but, like, I am just hardwired to do it every day. Otherwise, I just feel guilty. Which is good. Keeps me on it. Right. It says X has a brain. Harsh! Absolutely harsh! Yeah. Someone's not going easy on me. That was harsh, dang. Okay. Let's continue. Now this one is a little annoying because some of the gravel is a bit tricky to spot. Yeah, the textures, like, you get to some of these levels where it's like, oh, it's so difficult. Well, that's actually the next area. I was about to say I need to go fetch a chest, but no I don't. That's the next area, so don't sweat it. Content brain turns into fitness brain, says Gold. It's not a content brain thing. Like, content brain is a different beast. It's just this, like... I've got it in my head that, like... What I'm doing with working out and keeping in shape is, like... setting myself up to be, like, fit and healthy for, like, longevity and to stay in good shape and all of that. Like, it means a lot to me. So then when there's days when I'm not doing it, it feels like I'm falling behind or something, right? Like you've left gains on the table. You've left, you know, that option to keep yourself fit. You know, you haven't done that today. But, like, you do need rest, and I get my rest. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've got myself at a pretty good place where I, like, know my limits and whatnot. But it's like, have to do it every day. There is a rest day in the week. That's a given. That's part of the process. Resting too, right? Getting good sleep. I guess I sort of feel the same way about sleep as well. Actually, like, I'm always trying to get, like, the best night's sleep I can. Feels like you let yourself down, yeah, says Galaxy Boy. Yeah, in a ways. Even though, like, I've got a genuinely good reason not to. One thing I was doing, though, is loads of press-ups yesterday and today. Just, like, if there's one thing that I can do, you know, like, with a stiff back, so many other movements are, like, linked. The only two, like, body parts I could think of was, like, you can do press-ups, your back stays straight, you're really just working... You know, your triceps, your chest, and your arms, that kind of area. But, like, as soon as you start getting dumbbells involved and whatnot, like, the stability of your body plays a role, and therefore, you know, you're using muscles in your back. So, it was that, and, like, I thought calf raises might be another thing you could do, but nah. I just, press-ups are simple, they're safe. I did loads of those yesterday. And as a result, my chest is feeling quite sore today, which I like. It feels good. It feels like progress. Hull says, I feel guilty when I have a constant to-do list in my mind. See, well, I don't get guilt with the to-do list in the mind. I get a little more anxious and a bit, like, wound up because... Like, you feel that pressure of, like, this thing, then that thing, and it's good to be able to let go of that pressure, but I wouldn't call it, like, guilt of having that, because, like, having that to-do list shows that you've got those priorities, right? Like, the fact that you have a to-do list means that you got something good going for you, because you're prioritizing things, and you're putting emphasis on getting them done, surely. Right. One block at a time. Whoops. Not that block, though. Toothless2109, thank you ever so much for subscribing and supporting. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good time hanging out with us today. And thank you for your 7 months. Appreciate you. Wait, X, do you have your own gym? Says Magical Dinosaur. I do have my own gym, yeah. And I love it. Honestly, I'm hooked, like, for life, I think. Like, I'm actually, like, just looking forward to tomorrow if I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I can do this, I'm going to work out. That'll make me happy. Yay, my bad back has been bad too lately, and I haven't been able to go to the gym and jiu-jitsu, says Snayu. Sorry to hear that, my dude. I don't have a bad back as such, it's just that I pulled it, and, well, I say pulled it, it, like, stiffened up. It was weird, because most of the time with injuries, it's like, you're there when it happens, but sometimes I think it's probably a case of it's just been overworked, and then something pushes it over the edge. But it was like, I'd done a run that morning, and I felt absolutely fine, and it wasn't until after I sat down for a while and then got up that all of a sudden it was like, oh, you know, it wasn't when I was running or sat in the sauna. It was like an hour or an hour and a half after all of that I get up and it's like, You know, something's happened. But it's probably what I've done before that's fatigued it, I guess. Even though it felt like I warmed up correctly and did everything with the right technique and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I get, you know, life's not perfect, your body's not perfect, you're not going to be 100% all the time. Just got to kind of accept that. And then I'm just looking forward to getting back on it again. Becca says it's just getting old. I don't know, partly it is, you are like bulletproof when you're young, but like another thing about it is that when you invest that into your body, that time, you get stronger, you get more capable, right? I always think of it as like you have a peak potential that you could do with your body. Like if you made absolutely every decision right and did all the workouts and did all the training, there's like this peak level that you can be at. And most people are like nowhere within range of that. And therefore, at any age in your life, I think, you're most likely capable of improving and getting to a better level. And it's when you're at that better level that you're, in a ways, less prone to injury, you know? Like, I don't ever really, like, accidentally, you know, step funny and pull a muscle or something like I've seen other people do. Because I stretch every day and I'm working out and making those muscles strong. But then there's that level of compromise where you can, of course, overdo it, or just the fact that you're taxing your body on a regular basis. You know, you might at some point be a bit more fatigued and incur an injury because of it. But like the point being is that like you've made yourself stronger than you could have been, and you're more resilient and you're better because of it. So I feel like at any age, maybe when you're like 70 plus, it gets tricky, but at any age, unless you're like really physically active and already doing this, exercise can bring you more. It can, you know, improve the quality of your life through getting your body in shape. And it just makes things easier, right? As a perfectionist, it's hard to find that balance, but I started actually loving exercise, so it's easier now, says Urshri. It does take a while to love it. It took me a while. I remember in the beginning days going for a run, and it was just awful. I would like go outside and like probably run for no more than 5 minutes and just be like, oh my god, this is like, what am I doing? But I was driven, I guess, and then I remember some of the first running highs that I got, and I was like, oh, I feel great all of a sudden. I've been running for like half an hour, and now I feel different about this. And then I would seek that like runner's high a fair bit. I haven't actually felt that in a long time. All my running has been indoors for a long time on the treadmill. And yeah, have not had like a run with a big endorphin release or anything, now that I think about it. If it weren't for this stiff back, I think I had had that idea sooner, or that thought, I might have like thought, right, let's go for like a run outside and go for like 40 minutes. Try and find that high. I might have gone for that, but now that I've had this stiff back after a run, I think I might just stick with what I was doing. At what age did you start working out? About like 11 or 12 years ago. I didn't really take it... Like, well, it wasn't that I didn't take it seriously in the beginning, it's just I didn't really know what I was doing. And it would just be like, every now and then I'd feel like, you know, lifting some dumbbells or doing a bench press, and it was never like regimented and, I guess, like designed or whatever to like maximize gains and stuff. So it's like a real casual beginning that just like over time just slowly grew and became more and more like a part of my life. Obviously now I would love to like go back and be 20 again and just like go ham in the gym every day, because you can get away with that when you're that young. I just realised how much a simple response could affect your day, says Lex. A simple response? What quite sure what you mean by that. Working out also gives you the determination to pull through those physical hardships, says Galaxy Boy. It does. I also found that those like translated to other hardships in life as well, where it's like when you go through something that's like difficult in a way, you just kind of like remember being in the gym and like sweating it out, lifting some hard weights, and it just makes that like feel easier in a weird way. Like you become a bit more resilient because you're used to pushing yourself somewhere you don't want to go, and then when you find yourself in a situation where it's uncomfortable or whatever for whatever reason, you kind of know, yeah, you'll get through this. Like you've done other stuff that's hard, and you chose to do it. Cub asks for no sleep in the following night in case you missed that game chat. Wait, can't I? No, do you have to sleep in a bed, or can you set your spawn in a bed? Like, I think you have to literally sleep in through a night to stop phantom spawning, right? I think that's what you have to do. You'd think I'd know more about the phantoms, given how much I love them. You can hop in and hop out, says Lunsky. So I guess I'd have to do that straight away before they spawn, right? My grandfather took long or short walks every day to the day he passed. I think his walks are better when you're 70 plus. Oh, they are. Like, your body is really efficient and good at walking, and it's a really good exercise. I do a lot of walking every day. You know, how many steps have I got today? 13,500, and I'll get in another 1,000 before I go to bed. It's really good. It gets, you know, your circulation going, but it's very light on your body. It's not intensive, and so going for a walk every day, that'll be on my list. You know, like I'm trying to cheat death. You know, I'm trying to keep death at arm's length for as long as I can, and walking will be a part of that strategy. When I'm too old to run and to lift, they'll be walking, you know? Every single day, no doubt. Good long walks. Sounds amazing. Hey OX, what's this game about? Says Tragic Solitude. This game is about progressing through the Minecraft tech tree. Gathering the resources, the things that you'll need to fight your opponents who are on the other side doing the exact same thing. Because this is mirrored. It's a game that I made over 10 years ago, probably. And for some reason, only now did it occur to me that we could do this in survival. Although, maybe you're seeing why it hasn't occurred to me sooner, because this is kind of crazy. The amount of blocks that we're placing is absurd. As a beginner, I'd say running on a treadmill is way easier because there's much less distraction, and I have no other choice than running. Running gets me to start enjoying exercise, says Cyso Echo. Interesting perspective. What I find easy about the treadmill is that you're consistent in your posture and your impact on the treadmill. When you go outside, there's ups and downs, there's uneven surfaces and stuff. That's what I find the downside of going outside is, but it's interesting because I always saw running outside, especially when the weather's good, as like being like closer to nature and just more of an experience, you know. I guess where I go running, I'm like not in a city, you know, there's trees and greenery around me constantly, which probably adds to that, right? Right, let's see if that helps. If not, blame chat. Hooker in chat, the one, the only, the legend, who, by the way, has a very cool animation video out today if some of y'all are inclined to check out Puka's animations. Part of a like a Minecraft promotional thing about expressing yourself with the new update as well, which is cool. Yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed it, my dude. I loved it. Obviously, it gave me some old school vibes of some of the animations from back in the day, but it looks great. I want to go back and actually watch some of those again, just because A, I should, but B, I was kind of wondering like how much it's actually changed, because like the game's textures have changed, the visual software has probably been updated, the lighting systems, all that kind of stuff. Because it always feels like a Puka animation, right? But I imagine some of the particulars of that have changed with time. Right, and now let's go to this corner and get above it all. I live in a concrete jungle type of city, nothing inspiring to look at, so definitely treadmill for me. Also, it's 113 Fahrenheit on average here. I don't know how much that is in C. Neither do I. Neither do I. By the way, Timmy Wren 404, 9 months, the Twitch baby coming in there with a subscription. Thank you so much. I apologise for not reading yours sooner. Deep in the waffles, excuses, I know. Ekalos is also here with the Prime for 29 months. Thank you so much for using your Amazon Prime subscription, my dude. 29 months, incredible. Appreciate you. Okay. You know, it just occurred to me that one thing I was supposed to do that I did not do was put a couple of torches up the top here when I'm done. I don't think I actually need it because there's torches around the outside, but better be on the safe side, right? Better safe than sorry, that's what they say. Oops. Dang it, I don't have my shears. Oh, it's painfully slow. This just popped into my head, but why does Corrales call Xisuma xisumavoid? Well, because if you read Xisuma, it's pronounced Shishwami, right? And xisumavoid is the name of the channel, so xisumavoid, right? Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. It's Shishwambam, says Curls. It's also Shishwambam, that is true. If you would like a non-trolly answer, press 3. If you would like a non-trolly option, don't worry. I'll explain. Back in Season 1, Topmas, the legend, yeah, he was like, you know, they're like, hey, this is Xisuma, and he was like, Shishwambam, and it stuck. It just stuck. Right, let's then fill in this underside. And then the one over there. And hop up here. Are we really down to 7, or do I have more? I have more, thank goodness. Don't know why I left it in there. If we wanted a non-trolly option, would we be here? Says Foxfire. Possibly not. I'm always fearful of that new person that just stepped in, and they're like, well, this guy's an arse, you know. I can't be bothered with this. Is that how I'm being treated? I just asked a question. Rude. Yeah. So entitled. Anyway, enough of the stupidness. I'm sure it will get me into trouble one day. I'll keep pushing that luck. Right. All of that is gravel. People just need to understand it's British humour. I'm not honestly sure if it is British humour or if it's just Xisuma humour. It probably is British humour. I mean, the sarcasm certainly is. But me and sarcasm, it's like I love it, but for some reason I don't notice when other people are being sarcastic, so there's that. We'd start to get worried about you if you weren't trolling, says MP Beans. You probably would, wouldn't you? To be fair, there are far trollier streamers than you. Lol, says Galaxy Boy. Someone has not been watching for that long. I can tell. I can tell. I mean, I can be really trolly if I want to be. You just caught me on a good day. Or a bad day. Not sure how that works, actually. Nice! Another floor done. That means we get to do this. And be like, hey, finito. Now the next one involves chests, and lots of them. And I think I need to get some more chests, basically. But you troll with such care, says MP Beans. I am a careful troll. Because I always let you know that I'm trolling eventually. I think I do. I mean, that's the thing. I love to have a goof and a joke around, but I want whoever I goof on to know that it's friendly. Like, I want you to laugh as well as me, even if I'm taking one of your messages and saying silly stuff about it, right? Oh, do you know what? I was just thinking, like, let's go down and chop some trees to make chests, but like we've got leftovers, so they'll be just as good. It's about a 40% rate, to be honest. At least that's what it feels like looking back, says Lucro. 40%. What? The bleeping curse during an off-mic moment might have been my favourite trolls ever, says Curls of Doom. You know, I got this little soundboard here. I forget that I could press those buttons if I want to, but, you know. I see how, like, do I now sound like a robot? Because I can't hear it back. Oh, have I left it on? I can't remember if it's configured or not. Like, I don't know what that just sounded like. Does it sound like I'm shouting now? Hopefully that's bringing you much pleasure, because I can't even tell. But yeah, like, you can set up the soundboard with all sorts of sound effects and stuff, and I just forget about it. You know? It wasn't sounding like a robot. You see, I was pressing the buttons. It should have done something. Oh well. It's clearly not doing what it's supposed to do. Right, that is a lot of stuff to put in my inventory. So I think at some point we're going to have to refill the cobble, basically. But otherwise, we're probably good to start on this level. This one which has chests and is slightly different. What do we talk about next? Where do we go from here, peeps? Another... Oh my god! Another part of the game. Who did that? Who's fighting with us? Yeah, another part of the game, another talky topic. Food. I'm just not so enthused about my food lately. I've just noticed how obsessed I am with the stuff and just decided to stop caring, I guess. I'll still eat my, you know, I love my food. I've had salads and what did I cook this morning? A bunch of chicken with chili, peppers, and then I cooked some rice in onion and garlic and yeah, it's scrumptious, lovely meal, but there'll be another one tomorrow. I haven't had like a indulgence curry or even a halo top in ages now. I've just like really just decided that I was just too obsessive about it. I had hot dogs with ketchup today, says Kespero. Sounds disgusting, to be frank. I just had battered sausage with chips for dinner. Also doesn't sound that great. I mean, I love good chips. In fact, I had some chips that were gorgeous the other day because I had a weekend off and ate at a couple of restaurants. And one of them did these chips, and it was just like, that is how you do chips right there. All day long. Yes, thank you very much. To be frank, says Vivasaur. What do you want me to say? To be Timmy? To be John? What do you want me to say? I was just being frank, alright? I had curry and half a watermelon for dinner today. Sounds lovely. Watermelon's gorgeous. Haven't had some of that in a while. I'll have some homemade curry tomorrow, though, out of the freezer. Oh, yeah, it crossed my... Yeah, I was like... Every now and then I hit that point where it's like, okay, what's the plan for food tomorrow? You know, like... And I'm going to go for, like, a curry out of the freezer and a salad. Just so I don't need to go to the shops, really. But at one point it crossed my mind. I just kind of forgot that I've got some Dansak seasoning that I got in London, and I used it last week or the week before, and it was really, really nice. And I wanted to use it again, but that would mean going to the shops, and I'm just like, nah, I can't be bothered to wander around the shops looking for stuff. The shops close to me aren't really that great. It's a co-op. They've had clear troubles with their supply chains for a while. You go into different shops and it's like not the same, so you can't ever like really rely on getting what you need. So if you want to plan ahead, it's like you'll probably go in there and be like, well, they don't have this, so I'll have to cook something else. So I was like, I'm gonna crack on with doing whatever I do tomorrow and make it simple. Just grab some stuff out of the freezer. That's what it's there for. When's season 10 of Hermitcraft, says Mass in Racine. Ah, thank you for asking, my dude. You know, I've been feeling like we're doing something wrong because no one's ever asked me, you know, when's the next season of Hermitcraft, and it kind of gets me feeling like, man, people must just not be enjoying this. Must be, you know, thinking when's the season going to end so I can stop, you know, I can give up on this commitment that you've wasted all my time with. That's what I've been thinking. So it's good to know that someone's looking forward to season 10. That's awesome because we know exactly when season 10 is going to start. It might surprise you, right? Because it's in the future, not the past. Just want to make that clear. You know, season 10 is not going to be in the past. We're not going to make a time machine, do anything clever. Okay, it will be in the future. And I can tell you now with absolute certainty that it will happen after season 8 has finished. Yeah, it will happen after season 8 has finished. Season 10. And season 7. It will definitely... When season 7 and 8 and 6 and all those other ones that came... When they're all finished, we can do season 10. But we can't do season 10 before season 11. Because that would be really confusing, wouldn't it? So season 10, my friend, will be happening after season 9. When season 9's over, we'll start season 10. You can thank me in chat for answering your question. I'm here to answer questions, peeps. Especially about the next season of Hermitcraft. It's going to feature hermits, by the way. Didn't expect me to say that, did ya? Oh no. When is season 4 going to be finished? His Gaming Pros Adventure. Gaming Pros, it's already finished like years ago. What are you on about? You're talking gibberish. Yeah. God, speak with some clarity, man. You should 100% recruit some hermits to record 3 or 4 episodes of season 9.5 while this season is ongoing, then just mash drop all the episodes during the next interim. Could do. We could do anything. The future is unwritten. We need to get that dopamine, man, says Veritai. I don't think you're going to find there's any derps lurking in this stream. Because I've literally got a schematic telling me... Oh, no! I just remembered that I was supposed to shift everything over by 1 block. No, I wasn't. Everything's perfectly attuned and absolutely fine. And everything we're placing is in the correct spot. But this is what happens when you don't give me a good talking topic, right? Either you get some in-depth, thoughtful, considered conversation, or you don't feed the beast and you get nonsense. You're degrading the quality of chat today. We started so strong. Now it's just degraded into silly jokes. Oh, I'm disappointed. And we got a noise in the air from Vanhar21 for 69 months. Hee hee ha ha giggle giggle. Thank you so much for your incredible support. EvilX is in his house again. In his house. Peeps, if you're enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the follow button here on the Twitch so you get notified of future streams, because there will be future streams, okay? The future will happen unless time and space suddenly ceases to exist, in which case I apologise for the cancellation of everything, and there'll be no more streams. Anyway. What nonsense is going to spill out of my noggin next? You know who Monkey Farm is, says Lighting Potato. I do know who Monkey Farm is. I do know who Monkey Farm is. Contrary to popular belief, Monkey Farm is not a monkey or a farm. The more you know. He is a good builder. He is a good builder. I was watching Mumbo's Hermitcraft nostalgia video. Really cool to see him like look over the world and discuss how it felt as a viewer. And there was one build of his that he couldn't quite remember who it was, and I was like, it's Monkey Farms. X remembers. X remembers. You got to remember that, like, I've been engrossed in Hermitcraft from the very beginning. I couldn't believe my luck. Holy heck, I get to be a part of an SMP. This is going to be so cool. You know, I'm going to make 100 episodes. And then the rest is history. But I remember it all. But probably not, actually. I remember a lot, but maybe not all, actually. You know, just being blunt. But I remember a lot of stuff. I remember a heck of a lot of stuff. I remember the hairy eyeball in Season 3. That was amazing, that build. Loved that build. Let's do this. Small Fluffy says, X remembers some things. And now you are past 100 episodes, says Lex. I am past 100 episodes, yeah. Yeah. I've been past 100 episodes for a long time. What type of fruit would you be? Says Sidge. Oh, you know how to tickle my feathers. Gosh, the sort of questions I adore answering. What type of fruit would I be? Hee hee. Oh, what type of fruit would I be? A talking fruit. That's what I'd be, a talking fruit. A fruit that could talk. Next question, please. You know what? There is one category of questions like that I think I would like, but I've never really engaged with. And it's, ZF does a podcast dedicated to this kind of thing. The whole, you know, a world without something. Like, that sparks my curiosity. Now, I haven't listened to their podcast, so I don't know in what context they approach this. But I'm guessing it's for humor. Whereas for me, it's more like, now my brain really ticks over in trying to imagine what the world is like with this, this variable removed. I love the idea of being able to have A/B of everything, right? Like, you know, the universe, the world, whatever. Like two realities that are identical, but you get to see what's different when you change them. And I love the idea of like all these big like political ideas and like movements in history and like big picture stuff, you know. Things that get people riled up and heated about the way like the planet should be run. But then you take this A/B testing and it turns out that it's all meaningless, and like really odd stuff actually changes the trajectory of the world. Like that child that picked their nose and freaked out that lady on that train, and then that led to a series of events that started World War I or something, right? Like, and it turns out it's got nothing to do with the stuff that you really think makes the big difference. Right? Like, it turns out, I don't know, all this nuclear tension, all these countries having nukes and yada yada yada, and it's just like really silly that affects it all. Obviously, it's probably not. But I reckon there'll be some stuff out there. I reckon there'd be some stuff that if you could do the testing of the A and B, where you'd be like, oh, so that's what causes that. That's not what I expected. Do you pay your taxes, says Sidge. Oh, what a question. I love it. So, I believe, okay, I believe in freedom, you know, and that by being free, the government is, you know, they shouldn't be able to take my money. That's not freedom, is it? You know, but I should be free to, you know, go to the hospital if I get sick, or I should be free to use the roads that I didn't help pay for, of course. You know, and oh, if someone breaks into my house, I'm calling the police, but I won't pay my taxes. No, because freedom, man. Do you answer questions? Says Xanataris. No, I do not answer questions. I respond to questions. Thank you. Answering assumes I know what I'm talking about. I just simply respond. Of course, taxes are only for freeloaders. It's funny because my friends were discussing this the other day. Someone who doesn't pay taxes because they believe in freedom, right? But again, it's just these things that are all tied up in one another. It's all about compromise and give and take. And it's like, yeah, you can totally look at it like you were born, you didn't make a decision about this, but you gotta work and pay taxes. But then, look at what taxes do. Look at all the things around you that you take for granted. There's roads, who paid for them, you know? All this kind of stuff. There's a health service, there's the police and the fire brigade, and, you know, that's why we pay taxes. And you know what? I think I'd rather pay taxes than deal with criminals myself, or put out a fire myself as my house is burning down, you know? Right. There we go. Do you believe in ghosts? Says Sidge. I don't believe in general. I use the word believe in language a lot, but I try to remind myself to not believe, because belief is really like an assertion of truth over reality. The problem with that is that sometimes those things align pretty conveniently, and yeah, your belief is true or whatever, but if you just think about it in that kind of context, like belief, right, it is assertion of something, of truth over reality, and I think reality is a lot more tricky and dark than our instincts tell us. Our instincts want us to know, they want us to be certain, and to thrive in an environment, because it's hard to do that when you're constantly uncertain. You can't get by if you question everything all the time. So I think it's almost like a trick of the mind that it's easy to believe in things, and it's much harder to let something like, I guess, science tell you what, I don't want to say real, but you know, what we can perceive to be fact or real. So when it comes to ghosts, it's fascinating, but it doesn't have a science to it. You can't recreate that scientific experiment. And here we are, playing computer games, somehow translating all of this video, streaming it over the Wi-Fi, through the undersea cables. What is all of that made possible with this? Because this is the real magic right here, what's happening right now. I'm just standing in this part of the world, you're over in the other part, and you're listening to me and watching what we're doing, you're sending me messages. That's the real magic right there. That's all built on a scientific understanding of the world. The technology is built off of replicable science. And I would say to ghosts and aliens and flying saucers, what has that ever given us that's replicable and contributes to a functioning system? There is like nothing, basically. You know? There's nothing there. So, the ghosts exist? I don't know. Probably not the ones most people have claimed exist. But could there be some sort of level of existence, of consciousness that we interact with in ethereal and ghostly ways? Maybe. But until we can recreate that through a scientific method and assert a sort of sureness over it and an understanding of it, then what is the point in believing about it? Like, what does it give you to believe in that? I don't know what it gives me. I am comfortable with not knowing. I am comfortable with mystery. And to me, the greater mystery is not, is there ghosts? Are ghosts real? But, you know, what is consciousness? Because that's something we're experiencing right now. Well, actually, I'm experiencing consciousness, and, you know, you're just an illusion in my head. But anyway, enough about that. You know. Consciousness is an amazing mystery that we know is happening because we experience it. So I'm far more interested in hearing about ideas on what consciousness is or where it comes from than some quirky ideas about afterlife and ghosts that we just really don't have any kind of replicable knowledge or experience about. Lex says, I never knew I was in your head. You're definitely in my head, Lex. I just read that message. It's being processed up here. Did you always want to be a YouTuber/streamer, says Art. Well, when I was a young'un, I didn't even know what a YouTuber/streamer was. When I started making YouTube videos, we didn't even call it being a YouTuber. YouTube was just some website where people shared videos. And I was like, oh, I'll make some videos and put them up there. I got started in the age of innocence and never had any intention to make this into a career or a job. I was just in the right place at the right time when all this stuff kicked off. You know? And I think the important thing to take away from that is that I was putting a part of myself, expressing myself, being creative, and putting it out there into the world. Because without that, then it doesn't matter that YouTube happened if you weren't on there participating. So for all of y'all, don't think of things in terms of success and like, can I, you know, become a big YouTuber or whatever. Find your internal passion and your internal interests and pursue those, because you will be doing something you're generally passionate and interested in. And then if it happens to turn into something bigger than yourself, that's just a bonus, right? I just made Minecraft videos because it was fun. There was never any big ambitious picture about what this would turn into. And if there ever was, that probably would have been a recipe for failure, you know? This had to be a happy accident. I don't think it would make sense any other way. Have you composed any other music than instrumental metal style? What other stuff do you enjoy creating or playing, says Jim Baggins? Loads of stuff, really. It's just a bit all over the place, and I'm currently in the process of relearning how to write music and get into grips with the various tools and approaches. And every time I do that, though, I seem to like be able to create these snippets of music, these moments that I don't really like elaborate further on. Like, I've got a bunch of like these little teasing, elusive beats and sounds that I've been building up as I've been learning this. Every time I learn something, it's like in a little project, and I pick some sounds and mix some stuff together. And some of them are just like, they're really stuck in my head. And that doesn't speak to how, air quotes, good they are. They're just speaking to how much I love music and how the process is like just like deeply woven into how my mind works. And I'm loving it, and I'm hoping a few of those things will eventually make it out there to a place where all of y'all can hear it. But that might be a long time away, and I'm not trying to create any pressure or anything like that. I just want to enjoy that moment where I put aside time to do music, and I've been able to do that for a while now, and it's been fascinating. So, on that note, I'm going to wrap the stream up. I hope y'all have been entertained. A massive thank you to all of y'all for coming by today. Be sure to hit the follow button before you head out of there. Big thank you to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated, and cheered. I appreciate all of your support. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Big thanks to the mods, the patrons, and the people who are gifting subs. Y'all are appreciated too. I'm gonna raid a random Minecraft channel today. I'm not gonna send you to Impulse because Impulse won't be streaming for much longer, as we got things to do. We got things to do. Okay. I'm just trying to find. Let's see, a random channel. This is always a bit tricky when you go down. Okay, I'm struggling to multitask. I've found a random channel and not a lot of viewers, so hopefully you find something. Oh my god, that did not work. What was that? What was that, Twitch? Doesn't make any sense. Let's try again. What are you doing? Something went wrong. That's very obvious, Twitch. Right, there'll be a raid, but that'll be it from me. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.